Everyone, we've got Verl Workman here, building your A-team, creating a culture of productivity. Verl, for those people, I think just one person out there that doesn't know you, can you let us know what you do, how you do it, and how you got into all this?
Yeah, so boy, that's a big one, but I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. So we're Workman Success System out of Salt Lake City, Utah. We have a team that focuses primarily on high-performing brokerages and teams. And so we coach some of the biggest performers in the world. We're really good at teams. We do teams. That's what we do. We specialize in them. I like to say that if I don't know how many companies you're familiar with that are wildly successful that run as companies of one, but I can't think of any. And so team means leverage. And so we help leaders become leaders. A lot of people start out as real estate agents, but no one really teaches them how to lead or how to create systems and processes to build their A teams. And that's what we do. We have almost 100 coaches. Our coaches are all clients before they become coaches. So they're in production, most of them, and they're either coaching or performing at a level higher than the people they coach. So you get a really high level of coaching. A lot of people are good at selling coaching, but not good at delivering it because they hire people that aren't really in the business to do it. We're the opposite. We're not really aggressive salespeople. Most of our business comes from raving fan clients and presentations we do for companies and brands like you that ask us to come in and help their people. And so that's what I'm here to do, is to teach you how we think about creating a great culture of production. If you're a team leader and you're struggling getting your people to do the right things, if you're trying to figure out how to hire the right people or how to compensate them, I believe that anything you do 3 times, you have to have a system for it. And so we're called Workman Success Systems because we have systems for everything. And last, I'll just say that my belief is that greatness is predictable, and so is average. And if we track the right things, we can predict the outcome. And I know if you're focused on the right things, you can get a predictable, great thing. So wherever you are in your business or life, if you want to go to another stratosphere, stick around, because this is going to be a powerful 50 minutes of no bull crap. Here's how we really create a culture of accountability on our teams.
How's a great intro. I'm pumped up. I'm ready to go where you are. Just take me.
All right. Okay. Most importantly, I'm a dad. I have 6 children, 3 boys, 3 girls, and 12 grandkids, 11 and a half. And we focus on creating a great family. I work so that I can live well and enjoy my family and spend time together. 3 of my married kids all work with me in the company, and I'm blessed to be able to have them. And I think that's a testament to the culture we create and also the environment that we create. If your kids don't want to work in your business, you're probably not doing it right. And so think about that.
Very true. Very true. That's really why we're all here, right? That's it.
Yeah. But most people miss it. They miss it. And they look back and they say, I was just trying to provide a better life for my family. And what they really did is they spent all of their time being focused on other things besides their family, thinking that they wanted the money. And it's not about the money. What they want is your time. And so how do you buy that back? We do that with leverage. I don't know how this system works. I'm going to click slides. Share screen.
There you go. Just pick whatever one you want, and then I'll pop it into the screen if it doesn't do it once it's there.
Share screen. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's see.
Pick your weapon.
Huh. It's not giving me the monitor that I want to share. So what I want to share is my keynote on monitor 2.
If you've got a slide deck, you can send it over in the chat and we can put it up for you too, if that works. Just in case.
Hey, I'm a professional here.
Or Candace can throw it on as well.
Entire screen. Desktop 1. Share. Okay.
All right, let's see what we got.
Tell me what you see. Download resources.
Scan to download resources, building your A team. There we go.
Okay, you seeing a single slide or you seeing 2?
I am seeing 1 slide.
Okay, perfect. So we're talking about building your A team. Okay, so I'm going to give everybody some free stuff today. So I'm going to give you this right now so you can just scan some resources, get my downloads, get that out of the way. And then I'm going to talk about how do we build our A teams and create a culture of productivity within our teams. I'm going to start by setting this up. And here's how I set this up, is that I believe that our experiences that we've had in our life up until now create our beliefs. And that based on our beliefs, we take certain actions in our business and our life. And because of those actions, we get our results. Now, I'll give you an example of that. So I used to sell hot tubs at the state fair. I know, right? That was me.
Wow.
I was that guy. And
Oh,
so
wow.
I know that, like, I'm 21 years old. I've started my first business. I'm selling satellite dishes and hot tubs. And I remember setting a goal to sell 10 hot tubs. And the reason is because my goal that year was to make $50,000 that year. To make $50,000 more than my dad ever made. My experiences in life was my dad was a school teacher, and that I knew if I could make $50,000, it was more than my dad made, that would be a success. And so I set my goals and I behaved a certain way, and we got at the end of the fair and I sold my 10 hot tubs and I was so excited. I went and bought a frozen lemonade, and then I turned around. The guy behind me is wearing a shirt that says Cal Spas. I'm like, dude, nice. Cal Spas, how you doing? He says, oh, we're doing fine, son. That's what he called me. And I said, he goes, how about you? And I said, oh, I'm doing fine. We got our goal. He goes, what was your goal? I said, well, I don't want to say, but we sold 10. And he said to me, well, good for you. Like, that's cute. I'm like, well, how many did you sell? He said, we sold 10 this afternoon. I said, well, how many did you sell? He says, we sold 100. That just took me, that moment changed my life, because my experiences, meaning I didn't have any, for my belief in what was possible, sell 10. And so I took the actions that got me to 10. And guess what my result was? 10. I had an experience in that moment that says 10's a dumb goal. You can do 100, but you can't do it the way you're currently doing it. So I went over and I put on a disguise and I sent all my brothers and sisters over to shop their booth to find out what they did. And I copied their actions and I built my booth the next year exactly like they did. And we sold 70 hot tubs. I found someone who was getting the result that I wanted, and I changed it and I copied their actions, and it changed my belief in what was possible. If you feel stuck because you can't get past where you are right now, it's not your fault. It's normal. It's that your experiences have formed your belief and you're behaving based on what those are. And you can't get to the next stratosphere unless somebody crushes your beliefs and creates a new experience for you. And I'm hoping that today will be that new experience. And so what we do is we find the gaps, we break down the things that are not working for you, we create new experience and change your belief in what's possible. And that's how we get a different result. It's not that your beliefs are bad. It's that they're limited by your experiences. Does that make sense?
100%, man. It makes total sense. That's the way to go.
I mean, I spent years being at the same level of sales in my coaching business. And I hired a guy from the outside of the industry to come in and ask me questions. And he asked me questions like, why do you do it like that? And I said, well, that's how we've always done it. Everybody in the industry does that. He goes, well, I'm not from your industry, and we don't do it that way. We do it this way. I'm like, well, that won't work. He goes, well, how do you know it won't work? No one in your industry does it. I said, you're right. He says, well, try this. And I went and did it. And it was the single thing that took me from $1 million to 5 million to 10 million in revenue in year-over-year growth. The difference was one thing from somebody who created a different experience and changed my belief. You can't get here by doing what got you to where you are today. We have to do things differently. And so here we are as team leaders trying to figure out how to lead our teams. And we have to lead them through uncertainty. And I'm going to say that team members want an example of how to do it right. You can't stand on the sidelines and tell them what to do. You got to show up. And you have to teach them and allow them to fail so they have the experiences that will help them grow. And then I want you to know that we don't have people problems, we have process problems. And so if your people aren't performing at the level you think they should be, how do you create new experiences for them to change their beliefs in what's possible? We don't have a people problem, we have a process problem. I don't know.
I'm just taking notes right here, man. This is good. Just so you know.
Yeah. And then I'm going to tell you another Verlism is that which gets measured gets done. If we measure the right things, then you'll know they get done. And do I have any sports fans in the group here? Like, if we have any sports fans here, I want you to think about this for a second. In sports, baseball, hockey, basketball, whatever you follow, football, what do they track?
They track percentages, numbers, how often you missed, how often you made it.
I was watching a basketball thing the other day. Utah Jazz are not the greatest team on the planet, and they're rebuilding. And they were talking about the new young drafts that they just picked up from the draft. They had like second or third overall picks. They have really high level drafts. And they showed a chart, and they showed us all the spots that this forward shoots from and the percent of accuracy from every single spot. Yeah. They track assists, they track rebounds, they track percentages from the free throw line. They track percentages from the free throw line in game-winning situations. They track everything. And the reason they track it, because and they can focus on where the gaps are and coach to the gaps. That which gets measured gets done. Anything we do 3 times, we create a system for it and we track it. You want to know why teams fail? They fail because a lack of clear leadership. They do opportunity hires. They don't have the right compensation. They have a poor culture. They don't have a clear vision. They have bad hiring practices, and they have a lack of profitability. They face what we call the 5 dysfunctions of a team. Patrick Lencioni wrote a book called The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. And he said, look, you want to know why teams fail? They don't have a system of established core values. They have an absence of trust. The team leader doesn't trust the team members. They don't give them the A leads. The team members don't trust the team leaders. So they don't do the hard things. Absence of trust is massive. Fear of conflict. When you don't have healthy conflict in your business, you cannot grow. You think about this as a business leader. When people attack systems instead of people, that's when we grow. Hey, why are you doing it? What if we did it like this? When you're attacking the process, all of a sudden we innovate. I think conflict is great. If you don't have healthy conflict in your business, you cannot grow. And your meetings are boring. I want my people to show up and say, it's one way to do it, but have you thought about this? And let's attack every process and see if we can find better ways of doing things. Avoidance of accountability is a huge one. And it's not what you think it is. It's not team members avoiding being held accountable to follow up with their lofty leads. Avoidance of accountability most of the time comes from a team leader. Avoidance of conflict. And because they don't want to follow up or follow through, they avoid accountability and they say, I don't know why the agencies don't do it. I always do it. Yeah. Accountability is not something you do to someone. It's a culture you create, and it's based on love. I'm going to spend a lot of time on that today. And then inattention to results. And that's basically choosing to track the things that will move the needle the most. Measuring profitability, putting people on the right compensation plans, inattention to results is a big deal. Focusing on the things that will move the needle the most. I'm gonna throw this out here. You tell me if this is true. Okay. How many of the people do you think that are lofty clients that if I got in their database and started making calls, I would find lost income?
Dude, almost everyone.
Right.
Probably everyone. Everyone can improve. So I'd say everyone.
Okay. So we have what lack or what dysfunction do we have when we're leaving money on the table? All of them.
Good answer. Dude, yeah. I was actually looking through. I was like, which one? So thank you for that.
Yeah, it's all of them, right? Okay, so now we have this avoidance of accountability. So what is accountability? Let's define it. I'm going to say accountability. Look, like you and I have known each other for years in the business. We're both independent entrepreneurs. We both run businesses that are successful. I happen to know for a fact I cannot make you do anything you don't want to do. Is that true?
True.
So what's this crap about accountability? Accountability is not something that I do to you. Accountability is an environment I create where you choose it. But if you don't choose it, it doesn't exist. Accountability is your personal choice to rise above your current circumstances and demonstrate the ownership needed for achieving a different result. It's your choice. It's not something I'm going to do to you. Accountability is choosing. And I think it's so cool. It's not something that you make someone do. It's an environment you choose where they create it. We learned this from The Wizard of Oz. There's a great book. I don't know if you read this one called The Oz Principle. And the Oz Principle, it follows the characters through the Emerald City and the Journey on the Yellow Brick Road, you got the cowardly lion and the scared scarecrow and the Tin Man that doesn't have a heart, and Dorothy that wants to go back to Kansas. And each one of them have this personal journey that they want something they don't have. And if they just could find the wizard, then they'd be able to get these things. And they get there and they find out that the wizard's a fraud. And they got all mad and said, "Wizard, you're a fraud." And he says, "Okay, I'm going to pull the curtains back. Guess what? You already had the courage. You already had the heart. You already have the brain. And you already have the ability to go back to Kansas. You just had to choose it." And what we learned from this story is that we have everything we need to be successful, but we don't choose accountability. We choose to blame it on everything else. So I call below the line. And so when you're choosing accountability, you look at something and you see it and you go, "Oh my gosh, there's a problem." Now we have a choice point right here. The first choice people make usually is to see whose problem it is. It's not my problem. My broker didn't do it. My team leader didn't give me the leads. My agents didn't follow up with the people. All lofty leads aren't that good. I want to pay 40% for Zillow leads. Like, these are all below the line comments where you blame someone or something else for the results you're getting. When you want to move from below the line to above the line, you first see the problem and recognize that, hey, we have a problem. We're not converting our leads. Then you own the problem. Whose problem is it? It's not Lofty's problem. It's your problem. You're not following up. Change what you say. Own it. Whose problem is it? It's my problem. I own it. And then what am I going to do to solve it? I'm going to put a system in place so I don't continue to do what I've been doing because it's not working. And then we actually do the activities. When you see it, you own it as mine. Then you focus on solving and doing it. You quickly move from below the line where you blame others and play "it's not my fault, it's somebody else's responsibility" to above the line. It's how we clearly move from where we are to the next place. Here, I got to see something for just a second. There it is. Okay. I wanted this slide right here. It's how we move from average to exceptional. Is we see it, own it, solve it, and do it. We personally take responsibility for our actions. The reasons teams fail and they have massive turnover is because they don't establish a culture of productivity. They don't have clear set expectations, and they create compensation that disincentivizes the team leader to do the right thing for the team members.
Yeah, that's right.
So if I overpay my buyer's agent, I can't give them my A leads. So I put fair compensation in place so the team leader is incentivized to give all the leads to the team members. That makes sense?
Yeah.
And so instead of blaming the agents don't want to do the work, instead of blaming the team leader for never giving me the stuff, I want to look at the problem, what the real problem is, and own it. What do I need to change in order to make this relationship in greater balance so that it encourages the behavior I want from my team member or from my team leader? And remember that the secret to this is you always had the power. And the most important person to get you above the line is not somebody else, but it's you making the choice. Okay, now these are some deep thoughts as we get into what accountability is and what it isn't. By the way, good start so far?
So far, so good, man. You're connecting with all of us. So it's a beautiful thing.
All right. Well, I've just learned that in every environment, I've found myself as a leader lacking in all of these areas. And I've had to learn and grow and struggle and read and study to try and find different ways of developing as a leader, because there's really not any great leadership development and training in real estate.
True.
And so here we find ourselves as team leaders, or we're running these companies and we're good at selling houses, but no one's teaching us how to actually change behavior in individuals. And it starts by changing the way we show up for our people. And that's probably the thing that I struggle with the most and that I have to do the most personal development on, because I'm just blowing and going. And I just don't understand why everybody doesn't do it the way it is, because they're wired differently. Yeah, and so now I understand that it's on me. If I want my people to perform better, I have to show up differently. It's not on them. It's on me as a leader. You got high turnover. Don't blame it on your market. Don't blame it on rates, and don't blame it on the competition. Get the mirror out, look in the mirror, and blame it on the person you see, because that's where the problem is. And the moment you recognize that, that's when your business will start taking shape, and that's when you'll grow. Maybe that was painful.
No, it's truthful.
But it's said from, I'm coming from a place of, hey, look, I have the same problems and I've been working on trying to solve it as you do as leaders. And so no, there's no judgment here. You just have to recognize it. And as soon as you recognize it, then we can start to work on it. Accountability is love. I'm going to say that. I don't know if any of you have kids. I have 6. So I've learned that if I tell my kids that, I don't know why I'm harder on my daughters, but curfew, my youngest one is just graduated from high school. Curfew's 12 o'clock. I want her home at 12 o'clock. Not because I don't trust her. It's because I love her so much. I never want to have her to put herself in a situation where she has to make hard choices. Think about that. I love her so much that when she doesn't come home at 12, I put my hand out and say, give me your phone. And she starts screaming and crying like I'm ripping her arms and limbs out of their sockets. No, you can't take my phone. I'm like, you chose not to come home. I just want to remind you why it's so important. I love you so much. I wasn't doing anything. I don't care. I said that because I know that nothing good happens after midnight. It's because we love them so much that we want them to be safe and we want them to be able to, when they're by themselves, make good choices at some point. So accountability is love. It's not a bad thing. And so we create accountability. I'm going to say with a real estate team that accountability happens as a culture. And it starts by doing a daily huddle, 10 to 15 minutes. We do business development, people development. We practice scripts and dialogues. We do daily success habits. I'll show you some of these tools. And we follow and we prospect for an hour a day as a team. If we did that, your problems would go away as a leader. If you met every day and you huddled, you looked at their daily success habits, you did role play scripts and dialogues, you got on the phone and you prospected, and you did that every day for an hour, your whole team dynamic would change. Your culture would get better. Accountability would happen. People would start showing up or they'd self-eliminate, and everybody would make more money as a result. And so every business, every team, every family has a culture that is either intentionally created or it's accidentally created. And you get to choose as the leader what you want your culture to be. I like to say if I have to manage you, I don't need you. But the truth is, if I don't manage you, I don't love you.
That hits differently when people understand that. I like that.
Yeah. But if you don't set it up correctly, they don't understand it. So we start by, it starts from day one. These are some of the things that we share. It's like when you interview someone, here's the questions you ask. When you do a buyer's agreement, they have a buyer's agreement that talks about splits and compensation. We do 40-60 on the first 2 deals they do in a month, 45-55 on deals 3 and 4, and 50-50 on 5+. We teach our team leaders to run a business that's profitable. You have a responsibility to create stability and security for the people you lead. And if you're not profitable, you can't do that. And you need to be profitable at a 50% gross profit after your cost of sale. And then we have a document called the 10 things to be on my team. They got to show up at the office for their huddles. They have to do 61 points every day. They have to complete their daily success habits tracker and workbench. They have to work their top 50. They have to use the tracking system for the ABC lead follow-up. I'm going to teach you that today. They got to keep 100 contacts in their active database and do 4 SOI touches a year. And they've got to do 2 open houses, and they have to close 2 open houses a month, and they have to close 2 deals a month. I don't want them on my team unless you're doing 24 deals, and I'm going to pour into them until they do. I create an environment, and I set the expectations to sign this. How many of you have team members that if they were doing 2 deals a month, it would change their life?
Yeah.
And they're full-time agents, right?
Yes.
And so we are letting them down as leaders by not creating an environment where they can take care of their families, because $100,000 a year is not even barely enough to raise a family today. And so if you're letting them wallow in mediocrity and not creating environments where they do at least 2 deals a month, what you're saying to them is they're not important enough to you to develop them so they can help their families buy homes and be investors and let their kids play comp sports instead of rec sports. By allowing them to leave their work and leave their homes every day, come to your office and pretend to be successful by not doing any dollar productive activities, you're basically saying, I don't care enough about you or your family, so I'm going to let you wallow in your mediocrity. Now, I know you don't feel that way, but our actions speak so much louder than our words. And so we create that by having this culture that is either intentional or accidental. And many of us are just good at selling houses, and we don't know what to do with these people. So we got to have someone in our lives that lay out a plan for us. And that's what I'm going to try and do today. I'm going to lay this out. It starts with your core values. These are different teams' core values. The core values are we hire and fire to these core values. When you look at my desk right here, these are my core values sitting on my desk. When somebody gets hired at Workman, they sign a list of core values. It's their employee handbook. They get a plaque that sits on their desk. We talk about it in our company meetings. Choose to be happy, communicate openly and honestly, have and share vision, integrity always, live with passion, live freely, show gratitude, and we persist until we succeed. That one at the very end solves all the problems you have with anything lead follow-up that Lofty's ever had an issue with. We persist until we succeed. How long do we follow up with someone? We follow up until they buy or tell you to die. We follow up until they file a restraining order. We follow up. Now, what if you did that? If someone's not following up with their leads that have been generated, what core values are being violated? Well, they're not doing persist until we succeed. They're not communicating openly and honestly with their clients. They told me they'd follow up and follow the system, but they're not doing it. So where's the integrity in that? Multiple core values are being broken by not following up with leads. I can solve pretty much any problem that any team leader has with their core values. How cool is that, right?
Very.
We hire to them and we fire to them, and we get great adoption. If you don't have a set of core values or your team members don't do it, then have the team get involved with you in setting up and establishing your core values so they take ownership of it. And then the team presents them, and then every week talk about a different core value, and then catch people living that value and see how they start showing up for each other and showing up for their clients and showing up for their families. Live freely. This core value we have, live freely. That means debt free. I want my people to have no debt, and I want them to be able to make enough money that they can eliminate debt so they can buy real estate. One year I had 3 or 4 employees that all were first-time home buyers that worked for me, that all wanted to buy houses. We put a whole program together, and all 3 of them bought homes. And it was so cool because if they had a bunch of debt, car debt, other debt, they wouldn't have been able to qualify. But because of that simple thing of live freely, it changed the outcome for people that weren't commission salespeople. Isn't that fun?
Very.
It's kind of a different way of looking at values. The next thing I want to know is that when you hire people to be on your team, instead of hiring them to serve you so you can have a better life, what if, as a leader, you hired people and looked at each one of them individually and said, how can I help you have a better life? I'm here to serve you as a leader, not the other way around. We do vision boards with all our employees. We teach all of our teams to do vision boards. Why? Because I want to know what's important to them. And I look at these. They're important to have relationships. They want to travel. They want health and fitness. They want to dream big. They want to have date night. The one on the right is John Miller. He's an IT guy. He runs all of our Coach Simple and AI projects. And I look at what John wants in his life. He wants to take his kids to Disney World. And I love that that picture's on there. And I love creating an environment that allows them to be able to do that. My job as a leader is to help them get the things that they want most in their lives. Think about that. If your people know that you show up every day trying to help them get what they want, what do you think their commitment to you is going to be?
A lot higher than originally.
Yeah, right. But if you just, if you just say the words but don't live it, then it shows up very differently. All right, so vision boards, we do this with our teams. We do it, and I make them have balance, not just financial, but balance. Family, faith, friends, fun, fitness, and food are my 6 important things in life. I added food because I love food.
I love food too. We have that in common.
And I love fishing. I could add fishing as a 7th.
Nice.
So when we clearly define people's roles and responsibilities, it's what creates accountability. When there's murky waters and nobody knows what they're supposed to do, there's no clarity. And when there's a lack of clarity, there's a lack of accountability. And so it's not that they don't want to be held accountable. It's just they're not sure what they're being held accountable to. And so if you have specialists that are buyer specialists and listing specialists and client care specialists and prospecting specialists and ISAs, when they know what their role is, it's really easy to create accountability. But when you have generalists and everybody does everything, nobody knows what the most important or highest level of thing is. And so I'm a big believer in creating specialists on teams and then taking the time to clearly define roles and responsibilities and then the actions that they can measure to know whether or not they're winning each day. What do I have to do to know that I'm winning today? salespeople are probably the easiest to do. If I were to go in and I were to, this is a question for all of the listeners. If we were to evaluate your lead follow-up, what kind of a grade would you give yourself?
I'd say,
yeah,
on average, most people are gonna. I would say, if they're realistic, it's gonna be under a 5 out of 10.
So a failing grade.
Yeah, definitely.
That would be an F in school, right? Less than 50%.
Yeah, I mean, unless we're playing baseball, then we're doing pretty good, but we're not. We're not.
Not, are we?
No.
I'm just saying follow. I don't care about conversions. I just want to do follow-up.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what I've learned. We do this, and we go into companies and we'll look at all their follow-up and we'll track it. And these are true numbers. 48% of leads that come in never get followed up with.
Yeah, makes sense.
Hey, and then you know what they say? Your leads suck. No, they don't. Your follow-up sucks. Of the leads that do get followed up with, this is kind of interesting. 25% only make the second call, and then they stop. So first, half of them don't get called, and then half of those, 25% of those, get a second call. 12% of those get a third call.
Wow.
10% of those get more than 3 calls. Guess where the money is?
Way further in, right?
Look at this. 2% of sales are made on the first call. It's like nothing. 3% are made on the second call. 5% conversions happen on the third call. Here's where the money is. 80% of sales are made between the 5th and the 12th contact. And 90% of agents have stopped following up after 1.
Dang.
So what do? We don't have people problems. We have process problems. So instead of saying you guys suck, what we say is, I'm so sorry. I haven't put a better process in place that we follow to convert more of these opportunities because there's gold in our database. And we put a process in. I know you probably know this, but I sold my last company to homes.com. We get hired by companies to come in and help high volume lead generation companies to come in and help with conversions, to help them get higher levels of conversions. We work with lots of different types of teams, as well as high volume lead generators. And one of the things we implement with all of them is the ABCs of lead follow-up. And if it's okay with you, I'd like to teach that to everybody today.
Please.
Okay. The first thing we have to do is we have to identify what each lead is, and we have to create nomenclature. We have to create a culture where everybody speaks the same language. An A lead is someone who is ready to buy or sell now, and you have a scheduled appointment with them. A stands for appointment. A lot of teams call A leads they're ready to go, but they don't have a scheduled appointment with them. They're just not ready to go with you. I want to know you have an appointment with it. So when I say to my team, how many A leads do you have? And they say 8, I say, great, show me your calendar. And I look at 8 appointments scheduled. It also teaches my buyer's agents when they go out and show houses Saturday, if they don't write, to schedule the next appointment, not to say, well, I'll send you some more houses. If something you want to see next week, we'll go out. That is not an appointment. You say, okay, let's get it down. You want to go at the beginning of the week or the end of the week? You want to go Monday or Tuesday, morning or afternoon, 1 o'clock or 3? We schedule appointments, and that's a script. So we always schedule the next appointment because it keeps our people moving forward in the process. Your job as a buyer's agent is to find them 2 houses to look at, right? Okay, so an A lead is someone who's ready to buy or sell, and we have a what? Appointment. Okay, B leads. They're 30 to 90 days out. And everybody that's identified as a B lead is going to get a call twice a month in the database. And we're going to call specifically during the week that the 1st falls in and the week that the 15th falls in. We're going to call them twice a month. Hey, this is Verl. I'm just calling to make sure I'm not dropping the ball. Are you getting the properties my system is sending you? Anything you want me to change in the search? So I noticed that you're looking for a 3-car garage. Is it because you have 3 cars? You do toys? Oh, I do motorcycles. That's so funny. I love motorcycles. I'm going to ask questions that develop relationship, right?
Yep.
And so we're going to find a common bond. So we call them twice a month during the weeks the 1st falls in and the 15th falls in. A C lead, we're going to call once a month during the week of the 8th. And they're 90 days or more out. We call them once a month. So now as a team, what's the date today, by the way?
Today's the 22nd, Tuesday.
Yep. So the 22nd, we work on our top 50 or our sphere of influence. And so now we have the A's have an appointment. B's we call twice a month during the weeks the 1st and the 15th falls in. C's we call once a month during the week of the 8th. And we work our sphere and database during the week of the 22nd. What do I just give you?
A process. You gave me a process.
I gave you a system.
Yeah.
Now, for those that are listening to this and go, I don't know if that system works. I use a similar system. I'm just going to say that my clients are converting leads at a really high level. And we have many of them that are making $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $4 million a year in commissions. And they follow the system. And so if you're making less than that, I'm going to encourage you to follow the behavior of people that are getting a better result than you and just copy it. And that'll create a new experience for you. So the next time I give you something, you'll believe it and you'll do it because it creates a better result. So just copy it. Greatness leaves clues. And this is one of them.
It's a shortcut.
It's a shortcut. You know what, though? It's simple, but it's not easy.
That's true.
If it was easy, everybody would already be doing it. So let me give you another one. So that's one good system. Now, when you start getting big teams and you've got lots of agents working your leads, and when you have a company like Lofty that is doing top of the funnel and doing lead follow-up, and you've got all this database in here, how do we know if the agents are actually doing it all? It's really difficult. So I'm going to give you a system we created. This was created by Cleve Gaddis, one of my master coaches. He runs a $2 million team out of Atlanta, Georgia. And he created a system for us. He's a master coach called Lead Double Looping. And it's how we create a accountability system that removes the places agents can hide. You ready?
Shoot.
All right. Are we having any fun yet? I just want to make sure we're having fun. Yeah.
Listen, here we go. I'm going to show you something really quick. These are my notes
today
from you talking right now, just from
online.
Dude, I'm in, bro. I'm sold on this. Thank you.
Well, good. Okay, well, tell me what you're seeing. Am I showing my screen?
I have multiple little screens or slides that I can see. There we go.
Now you're seeing double looping. Okay. All right. So let me show you how this works. So once a week, we are going to have a lead meeting. And in this meeting, we're going to take each of our agents and they have to come prepared to show this. I want to see every lead that's come in the last 7 days. I'm going to look at them. I'm going to review them. And I'm going to ask how many have been met with, who is moving forward, who needs more attention to connect. Are they categorized as A, B, or C? What follow-up plan is in place? I look at every lead for the last 7 days and we go through this. My job as a leader is to not teach or train here. It's just to allow them to take me through their leads. Who's been met with, who's moving forward, who needs more attention, how are they categorized, and what follow-ups in place. So I look at the last 7 days, every lead, and they come prepared to show it. Then I go 1 week back and I pick one lead randomly from a week ago. And then I ask this question. They'll bring up their Lofty and I'll say, show me 7 weeks ago. I pull up one random lead and I say, great. Are they categorized correctly? Yes or no? Are they receiving calls, emails, and text? And are they logged correctly into Lofty? Yes or no? Do they have an upcoming to-do and no outstanding to-dos? Meaning, is there past to-dos you haven't done? Are they set up on an e-alert? Are they getting properties? And have they done any online activity that should be followed up with? Have they been looking at property? Did they change a search? Do we need to follow up with that? I look 1 week back. And if I pull it randomly and it's not there, it better be next time we get together. 1 month back, I pick one lead from 30 days ago randomly, and I ask the same questions. Are they categorized correctly? Are they receiving calls? Do they have an upcoming to-do that's not been done? Are they getting e-alerts? And do they have any online activity that we followed up with? When you look at every lead from 7 days ago, one lead from a week ago, and one lead from a month ago, what happens is they can't hide because they don't know which random lead you're going to pick. And so they get better at categorizing everybody, making sure they're receiving calls, texts, and emails, and logging them into Lofty. And then they make sure there's no to-dos that are undone, and they make sure everybody's set up on an e-alert. What happens when they start following this lead double looping is, as a leader, you become really clear where the gaps are, and then you can train or coach to the gaps with people on your team.
I like this. There's a quick question that pertains to this or part of this earlier.
Okay.
I'm going to share it on the screen so you can read it too, Verl. It's from James. Why don't agents follow up after the second or third try? And how can we avoid the poor mindset that leads to that? It's a very
Okay,
pertinent question.
so James, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. First of all, they don't follow up after the second or third try because they aren't trained to. We just assume they're going to as leaders because we did, and that's how we became successful. But they're not wired like you. They're team members, not team leaders. So let's start with that. The second thing is, have you trained them on a system that methodically follows up? And do you inspect regularly what you expect? If you don't inspect what you expect, you don't train them on a system, then they're just doing the best they know. We create bad follow-up by continuing to give leads to people that think that they're going to convert on the first or second call. And when they get one that does, they think all of them should, and it's like crack. And so they convert and they win it. And then they think they're done. People would rather pay 40% for a stupid Zillow lead than follow up 4 times because they think they're bugging people.
I mean, that's reality right there for sure.
Right. But how dumb is that? Like, let's just work our database. And so I would say that your question is great. And what we want to do is change the culture by doing daily huddles, by looking at their A, B's, and C's and teaching it, and then by doing once a week, the lead double looping. And so you have a culture on your team that isn't conducive to the follow-up. And by the way, no one does it perfectly. All we want to focus on is getting better at what we're currently doing. If you can get them to start doing 5 calls, that's a win. If you can get them to do 12, it's better. But I'm not going to, if they don't do 12, I'm not kicking them down the road. I'm just going to focus on going from 2 to 4. And then I want to just do a little bit better.
Another question, Cassandra. Great question. Should you follow up via call every time, or is text better? Or should we try a variety of ways, not just those 2?
Yes.
There you go.
So I have a series. The answer is yeah, follow up with text. Like we've learned that agents don't call. They don't answer their phone when we call them. But when we text them, they'll say, oh, yeah, I'm interested. I need a coach or whatever. So we use both. I also have a series.
I don't pick up my phone. I don't even return my voicemails. I'm like, just text me.
Yeah, right. So the answer is I ask people how they would prefer me to communicate with them, and then I just do it. I do what they prefer, not what I prefer. Like you might not call someone because you prefer text, but they may never look at their text. So nobody cares what you think. It's what do they think, right? It's give it.
Didi, you've got the coolest name, Didi. Didi McCracken, the McCracken system.
Right.
The McCracken everything from now on, Didi. This is great. She says, this is fantastic info. Will these slides be available?
No, but I'm going to give you some free downloads. I used to give my slides away, and then they started showing up at conferences where I was speaking.
Yeah, and then they'd have someone else's name on it, bro.
Right.
I watched
other
that
speakers,
happen.
right?
Yeah.
I'm like, what? That's my story. Why are you telling my story? Okay, so you see my screen still, my perfect week?
Let me put it on right now. There we go.
Okay. All right. So we've talked a little about creating a culture of productivity. We've talked about lead conversion. By the way, if there's another level you want some help with, raise your hand and say, I want some help. When you do my downloads, schedule a coaching consultation and talk to one of my consultants, and we'll just kind of evaluate where you are, and we can determine whether or not we're a good fit. We're not a good fit for everybody, but if you believe there's another level and you want a guide in the process, is all we do is build high-performing teams, and you feel like you need some help as a leader, then reach out. Like we'll follow up and we'll stay in touch with you until you're ready. And if we can help you, we'd love to. My perfect week. So when I talk about intention, this is a tool that we use with our clients called My Perfect Week. And what I ask them to do is on a Sunday night or Saturday, whatever their biological prime time is, I want them to look at the week in advance, and I want them to plan out if their week was perfect, what would it look like? When would they have their quiet hour to focus on their business? When would they do their ABC lead follow-up? When would they role play? When they go on buyer appointments? When would they go on listing appointments? When would they prospect? I haven't put all those things in here. Now, when someone calls and says, I'd like to go look at a house Instead of being a Pop-Tart agent and jumping out of your chair and running out like you have no clients, you say, great, would you rather go in the morning or afternoon? And I've got slots in mornings and afternoons and evenings for buyers to go out and look at properties. And I intentionally put them in the places that I want instead of being a Pop-Tart and putting them where they want. When you start getting intentional about that, what happens is you realize that you actually do have time to prospect and you do have time to follow up. But when you're reactive to every wind and everything that comes your way, you never get anything done or feel like you're not having a productive day. But when you put it out in a perfect week, but by the way, I've never had a perfect week, but I've had better weeks as a result of doing this. And then what I do is I track it. And so I use what's called the Daily Success Habits Tracker. And I track everything I do in 30-minute increments. And then I compare it to what I actually plan to do. And by being aware that my activities are not consistent with my goals, I'm able to make course correction. Accountability comes because I become aware. Accountability is awareness. It's not something someone needs to do to me. It's that I didn't know that I was off track. Now I know, and I make a course correction. Then the next thing we do with Daily Success Habits is every one of my agents has to do 61 points a day in dollar productive activities. This little 61 points a day doing dollar productive activity is pretty powerful because it allows me to coach to the gaps. So if you're doing prospecting calls, every time you make a call, you put a hash mark in. When you have a conversation, you make an X. I want to know how many dials it takes to have a conversation, how many conversations to get an appointment, how many appointments to get a listing or a buyer agreement signed, how many agreements do I need signed to get a closed transaction. And I track it on hundreds and if not thousands of teams and team members. Year to date, I know tracking 317,000 prospecting activities. We've set 6,000 buyer appointments, 2,500 listing appointments, had 1,200 closings. I know it takes 141 points to get a buyer appointment, 320 to get a listing, and 671 points for a closing.
Wow. That's beautiful.
Yeah, because greatness is predictable. And so is average. If I look at what you do every day and you're getting 12 points a day and they're all emails and you're not making any phone calls, do you think I can predict what your outcome is?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep. Greatness is predictable, so is average. And because I have all the data, I'm able to see it on so many high-performing teams. And then when I go in the daily huddle, I look at what are they doing? How many points did you get? Did you make your 25 dials? How many contacts you had? How many appointments were set? And I go through that and we focus on the Daily Success Habits Tracker. That single document will change the entire culture of your team and gives you a reason to have a daily huddle. And all your job is to do as a leader is to focus on progress, not perfection.
I like this, man.
Listen,
I've got two things. Oh, first, everyone scan that. But Verl, I've got two things that I got amongst the many things I wrote down. Okay.
Okay.
I got the one I stood out for me. The answer is to change the culture. For me, that really stood out for me. I'm like, that makes total sense. I feel that. I see it. And then you've got a process problem, not a people problem. You repeated that multiple times. And I agreed with you internally multiple times on that one, just so you know.
But it's really true. And it's not you. Like we all have areas where we can improve in this. It's not unique to real estate team leaders. We just see it more because we're in that business.
Yeah. I love this, man. I love this. And if you could go back to the slide with the QR code, please. That way people can scan that. I scanned it at the beginning, so I have the PDF that you give out. There you go. All right, everyone, please do yourself a favor, scan that. You'll get that immediately, and then answer the questions. And then if you have questions for Verl, if you want him or his team to help you out with becoming a better leader, growing your team, just leveling up to a different stage, he can help you out. I mean, he's been in this for a long time and with proven results. So I trust him. He's a great, great guy.
I have lots of stories and can share stories with you. But what I'd love to do is If you can share, do my stop my share screen share, and let's just show each other smiling faces. Is I'd love to just open up the call to any questions, like online. How are we live streaming?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, just ask me anything. This is Stump the Coach. Let's take the last 4 or 5 minutes we have, and just like anybody having any challenges with their teams or hiring or recruiting or conversions, throw them out there and let's have a little bit of fun with it.
I think that a question that we got earlier that I didn't pop up there was on accountability. As we're waiting for the questions, how can we do a better job keeping ourselves accountable? How do we do that? Where do we start with that?
Well, first of all, we have to get really clear on where we are and where we want to go. And then we get really clear on what are the daily activities that have to happen for us to get there. The reason we don't have accountability is because we haven't taken the time to be clear on where we, okay, so let me give you an example. What if you got in your car today? How familiar are you with Salt Lake City?
Not very.
Great. So you show up in Salt Lake and you say, okay, Waze or Google Maps, take me somewhere in Salt Lake.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think you're going to end up?
I don't even, probably in the middle of Salt Lake, I hope.
Right, in the middle of the lake. If you say, find me the best Mexican food that's owned by a local owner that speaks no English, that's highest rated on Google, and it tells you it's La Frontera or it's the red iguana or the green iguana, and you say, take me there. And then it gives you a roadmap. And now you've got clarity on where you want to go. You've got the left and right turns of everything you need to do to get there. Now accountability happens when you're driving down the road and it says, get off the exit, and you choose not to follow it. And then it says recalculating and then recalculating. What a coach does is a coach helps you identify where it is you want to go. It sits there in your process. And when you get off track, says, well, let's recalculate and see if this is still important. You still want Mexican food? Do you still want authentic local, or do you want to go to national chain? And if you still want authentic local, then we're going to have to make some course corrections. We're going to have to make a U-turn and go back and do it right. So having a good coach is like having a good GPS. But if you don't know where you want to go, it doesn't freaking matter.
It won't even matter.
Right.
I like that. How do you recharge as a team leader?
Okay, so first of all, that's a great question. And I'm hearing that a lot right now. People that have especially been through a downturn in the past, and then they were in COVID, and then they came out of it, and now they're feeling the same, are really struggling. And they're like, I don't want to do it again. I don't want to start my team again. I don't want to build it again. So what I do to recharge is, first of all, I take a little bit of time off. And I just go spend time with my family, and I remind myself what's important to me in life. And then I go back and say, if I continue to do nothing, am I going to be able to live the lifestyle I want in retirement? If the answer is no, then I get off my butt and go back to work.
That's, dude, I like that. How about when one of your people has a hard time following the process, meaning doesn't follow it or avoids it?
Well, I mean, then the first thing I say is I get really clear if I know what their goals are. So do I know what their goals are? Do they have a vision board? And do I know how to support that? A lot of times when people don't show up, they don't understand their own purpose in showing up. And because you're not asking the right questions as a leader, neither do you. And so you're trying to motivate them by, aren't you hungry? Don't you need to feed your kids? Maybe that doesn't motivate them. Maybe they're not hungry. Right? So we got to find out what motivates them. Once I understand that, then I can hold them accountable. And then I can create an environment where they choose it. And if they don't choose it, then I use the 10 things to be on my team, and I live with integrity. If they don't do the things that they agreed to do when I hire them or that they signed, then I create an environment where they choose to share their talents with others. They will usually self-eliminate. I don't even have to fire them.
I love that, man. I love that. And listen, there are more questions for you. How do people get a hold of you?
I mean, it's coach@workmansuccess.com.
Coach at workmansuccess.com.
Or use the QR code and schedule an appointment and talk to one of my business consultants. They're phenomenal, and they'll just talk to you. Excellent. I want a team. Right. Do we have to stop now? Because it's 1 o'clock.
Yeah, we got a minute.
Let me see what I have. Hold on. Let me look at my calendar.
We got a minute.
I want to answer some of these questions. You got great questions on this board.
Yeah, dude. Some amazing questions. I thought they'd ask you directly because I have another one that I have to jump off to, but
okay. Here you go. I'm going to go fast. How do you
Shoot.
recharge as a team leader? Remind yourself of your goals. What do you do with agents on your team that are only part-time and that work a full-time job? I give them a limited time to be able to transition to full-time. And they have to do certain things in order to get there. I don't hire full-time, part-time agents, but I have done it a few times. And when they have a transition plan, and if they don't meet it, then they self-eliminate. How about when one of your people has a hard time following the process? They don't show up or follow up or avoid it. Then we talked about that one. How to support agents who are prior high performers, but they're clearly burned out. Go back to the same thing. Where are their goals? What do they want? Are they able to go into retirement with what they currently have saved? If not, then we create an environment that allows them to. Yeah. And so find out what they want. With your coaching, working with a young team. Yeah, I want young teams. I want all teams. It doesn't matter whether you're young, old, tired, burned out. I've got a coach that'll help you. So let's figure out where you are, where your gaps are. We'll coach to the gaps. I am not a foofy run around the room and yell affirmations in the mirror. I'm not going to tell you to drop by jars of jam. What I'm going to teach you how to do is tactically build a 7-figure team. And once we get to 7-figure gross, we'll focus on 7-figure net. Let's create some real wealth. Stop messing around and let's do some business.
Coach to the gap. I love that.
That's all I got, man.
That's enough, man. That's enough for now. We need to have you back. I love
it.
So,
anytime.
Thank you for doing this, everyone. This was brought to you by Lofty. Check them out. If you're not part of them, you definitely need to use what I consider the best digital platform for real estate agents on the planet. So please jump in. Truby, great question. David, Emily, Gary, Kathy, Lori, Yvette, James, Dee McCracken, amazing last name. Cassandra, everybody else, thank you for being here. We appreciate you. Check out Lofty. Verl, thanks for doing this, man. Thanks for ending it strong.
See you soon.
Appreciate it.